When I was in college, I was fortunate to have the opportunity to study biology with the Pulitzer Prize-winning biologist E.O. Wilson. And I am not a biology major, so for me that was amazing. I went to visit him during office hours one day knowing that I was destined to become a teacher, and I had some questions for him about teaching. He was a great teacher. He could teach anyone, I noted, and yet he was choosing to teach an introductory course to biology. Why? Wilson told me he truly enjoyed working with the freshmen. He said that as a teacher, the trick is to give your students the big picture up front. Not to hold back on them, but let them fall in love with the complexity, with the whole thing. He said, don't worry about the details. That will take care of itself, because once your students are hooked, they will be driven to answer their own questions. His advice has held true for me as a teacher. Children are naturally curious. As a parent, you practice inquiry teaching every day. When your child asks, Mommy, what are the stars? You don't say, wait till you go to college and you can take astrophysics. You invite them to observe, to label what they see, and to make sense of it given the resources available to them. And this is only the beginning, because you can never know when that critical moment is that your child, the light goes on and they're hooked. So you just keep making everything available to them. Whether a mother or a teacher, you guide them as they seek to discover the patterns and the relationships that make the world the way it is. Whether pursuing poetry, mathematics, or science, you support their efforts to organize and categorize and eventually to synthesize the parts back into the whole. If you have a child in LE this year, you'll remember that one of their first IB units was architecture. How did the teachers commence this study? By immersing the children in images of structures, old and new, from around the globe, simple and ornate, great and small. They asked the children what they noticed. How could these different buildings be grouped? Categories in form and function emerged. The teachers provided children with the words they needed to articulate what they were seeing: spire, column, arch. Within a few short weeks, these students could identify structures by their physical characteristics, as well as speculate about how that building might serve society. In the upper elementary, we've been reading a wide variety of novels and poetry by Native American writers from long ago and the present. Themes are emerging there as well. The children can articulate the values of this complex culture, and they're beginning to wonder about themselves. They're wondering, how do I identify myself? To whom do I belong? What would I be willing to sacrifice in order to assimilate, and at what cost? While examining characters and plot structure, our students are also forging connections and thinking about the choices that all human beings have to make. I believe that we mothers and educators are but temporary stewards of our children. Born with dignity and a sense of pride, they have plans all their own. It is our privilege to accompany them on this journey through the early years, to guide them, to listen to them, and to share their wonder. It is our responsibility to urge them boldly out into their own lives and to give them the skills that will one day liberate them from us. It's gonna make me cry. It's like, I love being a teacher and I love being a mom. Which brings me back to choices. Every year at about this time, and I'm sure you guys all do it too, my husband and I sit back and we're like, have to take stock. We have to check in and make sure that the choices we're making as parents are still serving our children well. And this year when we did that, we felt like things were pretty good. Our kids may be smart, we said, but smarts can only take them so far. They need to be confident about who they are, to be resilient enough to persist when they're feeling discouraged. They need close relationships to sustain them through life's challenges. They need teachers to inspire them and to believe in them when they need to take a risk. We want our children to know that just as the world belongs to them, they too belong to the world, and they have a responsibility to act. There may be other schools where they could be successful, depending upon how you define success. But here at Whitby, our children are learning much more than the 3 R's. They're learning how to think for themselves and about themselves, and to become the unique and amazing people they're meant to be. As Eleanor Roosevelt once said, remember always that you not only have the right to be an individual, you have an obligation to be one. And Whitby is preparing our children to do just that. Thanks.